morning.
Welcome. Welcome, bloody welcome to the show. Which is called?
Sunday Chatter.
Sunday Chatter.
Yeah, because we chatter. Yeah.
So yes, it's Saturday morning, we're filming this, and we're both feeling a bit... Not sure why, and I've got something in my eye.
I think we've had constant grey clouds, apart from yesterday. And then we're back to grey clouds, and it's sort of... And I didn't sleep well, so yeah.
But of course, as you can see, Paul's had a haircut.
Yeah, I have.
Done by me. Yeah.
With clippers.
Just with the clippers. Number 14 all over. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's quite nice when he styles it properly.
Have I styled it properly?
No, not particularly. I don't think you ever do.
I have to apparently comb it, brush it upwards at the back, because I've got a patch which is flat and I've got to comb it up and then jiggle it around.
Well, look, the reality of the situation is that at this age, one does start to lose one's hair. It certainly gets thinner, but Paul's got a patch that he sleeps on and it flattens it.
Just like
your
my mum did.
Just like your mum.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was always perking your mum's hair up.
You were, yeah.
So it's not really a bald patch, it's just very flat, thinning hair.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bald... Both of our... I mean, my hair used to be as thick as goodness knows what.
Yeah.
But now it is getting thinner. But you know what? I'm kind of enjoying it being a little thinner.
Right.
Because there's less of it.
I'm always amazed after a haircut. You just need a little bit of shampoo and it does the whole thing. I find that quite, I need to put some of that purpley on next time.
But not when you're in the bath.
I quite like having a purple tinge all over. Yeah,
Paul,
I think that works quite well.
It's not supposed to go next to the skin.
Well, it goes on the scalp. That's the skin.
Doesn't stay on the scalp, though.
Well, it doesn't stay on your body when you get out either.
No, Paul, silly.
I did come out with a purple tinge one day. Yeah, looked a bit greyer than usual. Yeah.
Well, I think we've got a purple tinge anyway because we're always so cold. So I'm surprised we're not blue. Anyway. So yes, first of all, before you start going off on one, Paul, calm down. Oh, shush now, Paul. Thank you. Before you do the weather report, let's just have a couple of thank yous first of all. Just want to say thank you very much for joining me on the live show last night. It's proving very popular. I'm delighted by that because it's a direct interaction with you, which is lovely. What?
I was sort of going, it's lovely, lovely, lovely.
And of course it's just me.
Yeah, but they join just so that they can chat to me, really. That's what happens. They come to see your face and your beauty, your elegance, your youth, and my interest in texting.
I think you're objectifying me there.
Yeah, most probably, yeah.
I think that's really offensive.
Oh, all those days. Remember your little bronzed Greek look you used to have?
Bronzed Greek look?
Yeah.
No, I've never been bronzed and Greek looking, Paul.
Yeah,
ever.
you did. That holiday snap of you with all the black hair and things.
That was dyed even back then.
Was it? Yeah, I wasn't told that when we got together.
Yeah, of course it was.
No.
I've been dyeing my hair. I've been dyeing my hair since I was about 14.
I thought he was like a young Greek god.
And I started going grey when I was 21.
Oh, there we are, yeah.
So it was always dyed. It was never natural. I used to dye it blue-black.
Right.
That Schwarzkopf colour, cosmic blue. I loved that blue. But it just got to the stage where literally, actually, I would dye my hair black, which looked great, and, you know, of course, with a youthful complexion, which I really haven't lost that much of. It's still quite useful. Within, I'm not kidding you, within a day or two, there would be a white line starting. So I just got to the stage where I just thought, this is pointless, go grey. And I love being grey.
I do think those sort of people who decide through choice or money that they don't regularly dye their hair, and therefore they end up with huge sort of white roots and grey roots. I just wish they'd stop. We had a person at the allotment. Well, you know,
stop dyeing it.
Yeah, stop dyeing it.
Well, that's what a lot of people are choosing to stop dyeing it now. Paul.
Well, we have a lady at the allotment, and she was dyeing her hair. And when I saw her, when she decided to stop dyeing her hair, I went, "Oh my God, your hair looks absolutely amazing. Have you dyed it?" And she said, "No, this is my natural colour." So yeah, she looks absolutely great. Yeah.
Well, I remember when our friend Tiffany decided to transition from dyeing.
Absolutely.
Her hair is absolutely spectacular. It really is. And in fact, she's on one of our videos, the Musaka video that I made a few years ago. At the end of that, you see she's absolutely gorgeous and has amazing, it's almost white hair. It's just beautiful. So it really suits the majority of people that decide. You have to make a few adjustments with colour, maybe with makeup.
What, you mean colour with clothes and things?
Yeah, you maybe have to make a few adjustments because it changes the way you look and it changes the colour, the tone. So, yeah, anywho.
I'm not very coordinated in those things.
Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but anywho.
I sort of just open the drawer and take things out and then open the cupboard and put a shirt on.
That's better. Lovely.
I mean, red and brown and blue is most probably not de rigueur.
Well, I don't know why you're still wearing those awful old T-shirts, Paul. Get rid of them. Wear your new ones. Those lovely new yellow and brown ones. Gorgeous. You're still wearing these ones that are falling apart. Literally. Well, that one's not too bad. But, anywho, shush now. I've got more things to say before we start the show proper.
And my knickers, they need to go. Because they've got quite a big hole underneath the undercarriage, so they need to go. Otherwise, I'll be popping out. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah. Shush, Paul!
The other thing I wanted to say is make sure that you're subscribed. There seems to be a high number of people who are watching our videos, which is all lovely, but you're not subscribed. So make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notifications when videos come up. So thank you. Okay, weather. Yeah, grey, cold, apart from yesterday, which was glorious, wasn't it, Paul?
It was glorious. I mean, just absolutely glorious. I think both of us spent a bit too much time at the desk and not enough time in the sun. But I did get down to the allotment and do one of the soft fruit beds, which I hadn't planned to do. I planned to do it at some point, but not yesterday.
What did you do?
I weeded the autumn fruiting raspberries and the jostaberries. Then I covered it in cardboard. Then I put down a fertile mulch onto that, 2 bags of fertile mulch. And then I put chippings, wood chip, on top that had been delivered. Because we're getting regular loads of wood chip at the moment, which is good.
So I'm intrigued. Autumn fruiting raspberries and jostaberries. I don't recall having had any of these fruit pickings. What's happened to all these fruits, Paul?
They've been eaten. Apart from some jostaberries.
By whom?
By the birds.
What's the point in you doing all this work?
Well, no, I've got netting this year that I'm going to put over. But it's, and the gooseberries, they're the ones that the birds absolutely go for. But that bed is a real mess. That's the big fruit bed with gooseberries in. It's a mess.
Okay, so anyway, to go back to the weather.
And the sun was beating down, and it was just glorious. I was recording, and there was long shadows, because the sun was going down. It was late in the day. It was still in the sun. It was warm. Out of the sun, it was pretty cool. But it was lovely to see it. And now we're back to overcast, grey cloud. Yeah,
again.
Yeah.
It's so. I mean, I'm not going to say depressing. But it does feel...
Yeah, it pulls you down.
It does. You kind of don't have any enthusiasm and everything's grey. So even the thought of going out and about, and taking photographs and doing video, it's like everything's going to look grey and washed out. It's not terribly inspiring. So, yeah.
But next week looks as though it's warming up a bit, which is great.
Well, it better do.
However... it looks as though the best days are going to be early in the week rather than later in the week. There's rain forecast for later in the week, and my work, with client work is generally Monday to Wednesday. So that's always a bit of a bummer, really, when that happens. When you've got good weather and it's going to be worse at the end of the week. But of course, it could change.
Well, for me, I'm just hunkering down, getting on with making some videos to bring extra content to you. Which, so far is working well.
There's a vegan lasagna video coming up. And that lasagna was amazing. And you're cooking it tomorrow. So he's going to be filming on Sunday because we've got a friend coming over and we're going to have portions of that for the evening meal.
Yeah, I'm gonna film it tomorrow morning. So look out for that. Not sure when it'll be released. At some point, probably at the beginning of the week, I would have thought. Perhaps Tuesday. Yeah.
I need to do exciting things today, like defrosting the freezer.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't take long, does it?
No, it doesn't normally.
Put a bowl of hot water in there.
Yeah, what I do is, you should never put sort of boiling or even really hot water on the actual elements that chill the freezer. But I do put a couple of tea towels down on it, and then I put sort of pretty hot water, not boiling though, into it, and that defrosts it a little bit quicker.
Yeah, I don't know why it's frosting up.
No, I don't really. I think it most probably needs to come out and have a hoover at the back with all the grills and things.
Probably needs to be replaced, I think you'll find. Yeah.
The handle's been replaced several times.
Yeah, on both.
They used to be, because it's a silver fronted one, and they used to have sort of grey handles, and now it's white. And
thanks for that, Paul. I'm sure absolutely everybody needed to know that. Maybe we should do a series on the handles on the freezer.
Well, we could do the fridge as well, because it's the same. Yeah,
the handles on the fridge and freezer have been replaced.
Oh dear.
Watch my knockout video. Mind you, somebody would watch it.
Yeah,
you can guarantee it. Yeah. So, yes. So, okay. Paul, you have mentioned, tenuous link here, you have mentioned gardening. So maybe it's time to look in the Almanac. That's the Almanac. Thank you, Jill. The reason I'm picking this up is because one of your plot neighbours came to the door the other day, Paul, when you weren't here.
That is sort of not really true. So, one of the neighbours about 15 doors down, I helped her
Wasn't
prune.
She a plot neighbour?
No, I helped her prune
person.
her front garden apple tree a few years ago, and that's why she knocked on the door.
One of our neighbours knocked on the door, looking for advice on when to prune her apple tree. So, you weren't here, Paul, so I had to step in. And I just said, hold on, let me have a look at the Almanac. I'm sure I read something about pruning trees in there. And I did, because there is a section on gardening by the moon. And it says, for this portion of the moon's cycle, which is full moon to last quarter, 12th to the 20th of February, it says it's a good time for sowing and planting any crops that develop below ground, root crops, bulbs and perennials. But then, and there's several other things.
Does it
as
say
well.
whether that's directly or not?
Plant Jerusalem artichokes, garlic, rhubarb crowns and shallot and onion sets if the ground is not frozen.
Yeah.
So onions and leeks in seed trays, plant fruit trees and bushes, grapevines, hedgehogs, not hedgehogs. What?
Plant hedgehogs.
Hedging. I'm seeing things now. Hedging and rose bushes, chit seed potatoes. But then it says for the last quarter to the new moon, 21st to the 27th of February, it says it's a dormant period with low sap and poor growth. Don't sow or plant.
Oh.
But it's a good time for pruning.
Yeah.
While sap is slowed. Weeding now will check growth well. Fertilise and mulch the soil. Garden maintenance. So it says prune apple, pear, medlar and quince trees. Prune autumn fruited raspberries, red and white currants and gooseberries. Prune wisteria, cutting back long growths to 2 to 3 buds.
All right, yeah, okay. Gardener.
Clean and oil the tools.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Dad used to have a bucket of oil and sand. It was sand, but it had some oil in it. And he would always put his spades and his forks and his hand tools into that for a day after he cleaned them, of course.
What does that do?
Well, it sort of keeps them sharp going through the sand, but the oil also keeps them rust free, because the oil sort of it enwraps the individual grains of sand. So yeah.
How lovely.
I don't do that, but maybe I should.
Maybe you should, Paul. So there we are. So as we said earlier, this week has not been a week for any trips out and about, because it's just been too uninspiring out there. But next week we are hoping to go out and do a day trip.
Yeah.
And we're considering going to Avebury.
Yeah.
If you don't know what Avebury is, it's the largest stone circle according to a book. Which book? Oh, I think it was the Almanac. No, it was the Almanac.
Anyway, it's the largest stone circle
in the world. Apparently.
It's the largest that encloses a village in the world, definitely.
The one I read said it was the largest in the world.
Oh, there we are.
So there we are. So we're thinking of going there. If you don't know what Avebury is, have a look at the video. So we'll take you along for the ride, hopefully. Now, Paul, we might not have had any trips out, but you did have a trip out because you went to work down to the Great Green Barn.
I did.
And you had a photo shoot this week, didn't you, Paul?
Yeah,
Tell us about it.
I was about to, yeah. The Great Green Barn, we've been working with a lady called Zoe Mills, who's a photographer.
Can you say lady these days?
A person of the female persuasion.
I think you've just got to say person these days.
A person, something that breathes, a being.
An organism.
Anyway, the lovely Zoe, most somebody can't say lovely, but lovely Zoe. She's a photographer, does an awful lot of wedding shoots, and she's also into sustainability as well. So we had a sustainability wedding shoot, which was like a micro shoot of stationery and dresses and cake, and a celebrant was there as well, flowers. It was a really good day.
What does it mean then, a sustainable wedding?
Well, it's where you cut down on the amount of plastics being used, and you might use a second-hand dress rather than buying a new dress, and You don't have lots of things, lots of favours on the table with plastic in them and things like that. So it's basically looking at what you want for the wedding and seeing how you can do it as sustainably as possible. And all of these services that they came down on Monday, it was just a joy because they were such professionals, and I have written about it in my blog. So if you go to my blog for Monday of this week, so if you go to Richard and Paul and then go on to a Guernsey Gardener in 2025, you'll see the Monday post in the list and photographs of the shoot. It was just a terrific day, and they were all such professionals that they knew exactly what they needed to get out of the day, what we all wanted to get out of the day. And the celebrant and Zoe really sort of took charge, which was great because I didn't have to. I could go off and do other things. And yeah, the photos that are going to come out of it, we've seen some of them already, are going to be really great for the Great Green Barn and everyone who took part in the shoot. So it was a really good day. It was a long day. It started at 9. The shoot sort of started winding down around 4. I think we finished around 5:30, and then had a brief, debrief, and then I sort of came home. So I think it was like a 14-hour day that day, including the driving. But it was a really good day, and the wonderful thing about having those professionals knowing what they wanted is I have other things that I always need to do on site when I get down to the Great Green Barn, all for our sake. So I could carry on popping in and out. Vanessa was there quite a bit with them in the with the photo shoot, and I could just pop in and out and do the other jobs that I needed to do down there. So yeah, it was a good day. It was a good day, though a long day, a tiring day. And then the following day, I was at my desk, and they're all on Instagram, so I've linked to all of their Instagram in my blog. So it was sort of engaging with them, and they were sharing photos, and we were liking and commenting. So yeah, it was a bit full on, yeah, but good.
Well, how interesting. I mean, I guess the ultimate sustainable wedding would be to not get married at all.
Well, yeah,
really,
yeah,
wouldn't it?
yeah.
And not have any children.
Yeah, or have one child, or maximum of 2. I have to say, someone said to me, a plot person said to me that, we're having we've got another grandchild on the way, and I went, what, another one? I just couldn't help myself. I said, really, do they want to bring another child into a world that is what it is today, and climate change?
According to the news, we're going to be hit by an asteroid in 2032 anyway. So
well,
it's going to destroy all life. So
we will know.
I'm looking forward to that.
I was listening to that on Radio 4 this morning. We will know, or the experts will know. When I say experts, I mean people who are scientists.
That's right.
And know what they're talking about.
Not some random YouTuber.
Yeah. So we will know within the next sort of 3 weeks whether it's likely to miss us.
Yeah.
So I think at the moment there's a 2% chance that it will hit. I have to say, Dad in his time bet on horses that had longer odds than that and won. So who knows, But you know what? It would be a chance for this planet to have a reset, wouldn't it? So yeah, always positive in things. So if we have a big meteor impact, there are positives in it. Yeah.
Thank you. Lovely. How nice. That wasn't on the agenda, but hey ho. Paul, you were mentioning about library books as well. You're loving the library,
I
aren't
do.
you?
I love the library.
Is it because it's warm?
It is warm, I have to say. The people in there, it's a community library. I think there's one person that's employed and is there several times a week. And then the rest of the time it's run by volunteers, and a couple of people who are allotmenteers, they volunteer, so I see them occasionally as well. But I've had... The wonderful thing is you can go onto the library app and you can put in the books that you want and reserve them. And usually some books will take a couple of weeks to arrive, and some might take 6 months or more, because they might be very popular, or they might be new books that are out that are hardback, which I don't normally read. But they don't have that many of them, so it might take 6 months to come up for me to collect. Pardon me, this week I've had a whole load of books come up. 5 books that I've reserved have come up to be collected this week or next week. I collected some yesterday, 3, and then this morning in my email is the fact that another 2 have arrived that need to be collected next week. And I think I'm at that and then our friend who's coming to supper tomorrow evening, she also gave me a stack of books of a Dordogne detective, and I think there must be about 10 books there. And I'm suddenly thinking, I'm going to have to take some of the books that I am getting from the library back to the library, because I'm not going to be able to read all of them in time before they need to go back. And you can extend the amount of time that you have. I think you have 3 weeks, then you can do another 2 weeks and another 2 weeks. But I just don't think I'm going to read 7 books in the period of time that I'm going to be allowed. So I'm just going to decide which ones I'm going to return. So what will happen if it's some of the books that are still, or 2 of the books that are still there, I will take them out and return them straight away, because that's the easiest way to do it. But yeah, I love the library. I really, really do. It's fabulous. And I have put a Felicity Cloak book that Vivi gave me, One More Croissant for the Road. I had been reading that, and then this glut of books came in, so I've shuttered that book for the moment, put a bookmark in, put it on the shelf, and I'll pick it up again in maybe a month or so's time. So, and get on with the library books. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Thank you, Paul.
Oh, and the new Alan Garner is one of those books to pick up, or Thrums and something. Not new, but one that I haven't read.
Right, I don't know it.
Yeah.
I don't know it. Lovely, thank you, Paul. You also wanted to mention the ludicrous nature of the credit score as well.
Oh, yeah.
I've never, ever, and I have to say, I have never, ever looked at my credit score. Ever. Never. I mean, it was never a thing. Who decided that credit score, this sort of global credit score, was a thing?
Well, all of the financial institutions that lend people money. That's what did it. Because people who may default on loans or mortgages, or car loans or whatever, they are not seen as good people to lend money to, because they default. So this all came in with credit scoring, and it's just, for me, it's just ridiculous, because I actually have a pretty good credit score. I've followed my credit score for about 20 years or so, and it's always been pretty high up. And then I get, because I don't use credit a lot, if I go shopping to Lidl, it generally goes on a credit card, and then it gets taken off with a direct debit the following month. So that's the only time I use a credit card. Or if we were to hire a car, I'd use a credit card for that, because you have sort of, some security and some insurance in there for if something goes wrong. So I think credit cards are very useful, but never to sort of spend beyond your limit. And of course, a lot of people have spent beyond their limit in the past, and they're considered a poor credit rating. But mine, each month, it tells me I need to spend more on my credit card to improve my score, which is really high anyway. But I've got no need for that debt, because it is debt. It might get paid off in a month, but it's debt. I've got no need to extend my debt beyond the minimal amount that I use each month anyway. And it keeps on saying, oh, if you do this, you'll get, 10 more points or something. And it's like, you're enticing me to spend more money, to go into further debt, to increase my credit score. It makes no sense. Absolutely no sense whatsoever.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. The whole thing is ridiculous. Surely, if you take out a loan with a reputable bank, they're going to investigate you to find out whether you can pay that loan back.
Well, they will. They'll use your credit score.
But they shouldn't be using your credit score. They should be using your employment and your wage slips.
Well, they use so many things, and the other thing, of course, is that if you are paying rent doesn't actually get taken into account in a credit score, which is ludicrous. So when people are going to get their mortgages, maybe young people particularly, are going to get mortgages, and those people have rented for maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 years or something like that, the fact that they may have paid their landlord or landlady, well throughout that period of time, have never defaulted on their rent, doesn't get taken into account. And also, they might be paying £2,000 a month in rent, let's just say. In London, that is pretty low anyway for a couple. But let's say £2,000 a month. The fact that their mortgage might be £1,200 a month, including repayment, doesn't take into account the fact they've paid £2,000 a month for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's just ludicrous. I think all of these systems, we're now finding they're just all mad.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Anywho, let's move on. Thank you so much, Paul, for that informative and riveting examination of something that I don't understand. Right, what's date today then?
It's the 16th, Sunday the 16th.
Oh,
so 16th
lovely.
of February.
Oh. Zetetic.
I think I do.
Why am I getting all these weird words now? Zetetic. 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 Right,
yeah.
let's talk about what it's about then. Let's read, what it's about. Inquiring minds deserve the name Zetetic, which means investigating or proceeding by inquiry, from the Greek zetien, to seek. Curiously, in the 19th century, Zetetic astronomers were flat earthers. After an 1849 pamphlet entitled Zetetic Astronomy, a description of several experiments which prove that the surface of the sea is a perfect plane and that the Earth is not a globe.
So this is scientific, yeah?
More usually, however, Zetetic has described those who avoid all proud dogmatism, and was sometimes used interchangeably with skeptic, as a writer in 1895 referred to skeptics and Zetetics, indicating that they were always in search of truth without flattering themselves that they had found it. Okay.
There we are.
So what did it mean? Investigating or proceeding by inquiry. How lovely.
I think it might have been a book that Vivi lent me, but it was a detective book, and I was reading about the Zetetic detective.
No.
And it was talking about this detective, and the one of the characters said something about him being Zetetic, and I thought, I don't know that word, I'll have to look it up. And I'd clearly forgotten it.
Lovely. So it's time for the final segment of the week, which is, what have we watched on television? So, we watched a lovely programme, Dame Joanna Lumley, My Best Bits in My Own Words. So this was Dame Joanna talking about her career.
Yeah.
And it was, I mean, we know Joanna Lumley's career because we've kind of grown up with Joanna Lumley. I even remember my granny who had the John England catalogue.
Oh gosh, yeah.
I remember her, she used to keep the old catalogues in a little sort of cubbyhole room just off the hallway that I used to play in as a child. And we used to go through the old catalogues, and when I say old, they were only a couple of years old. And Joanna Lumley was a model in one of those, because I remember she was in, I think, the New Avengers at the time. I think I remember going through saying, look, Joanna Lumley, you know. So she was a model in the 60s and 70s, and then of course shot to fame as Purdy in the New Avengers.
Yeah.
So it was all about that timeline and the work that she's done and the things she's most known for, which was really good, really interesting.
Do you remember flicking through those catalogues and sniggering at the ladies and the men in underwear?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I remember what we used to do to my granddad. We would sit on my granddad's knee and we'd go through the catalogue and we'd deliberately open it at the bras and panties to see his reaction. Of course, he'd be going, "Oh no, no, oh no," like that, and we would giggle hysterically.
Yeah.
So yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Because for children, it's just funny to see people in their underwear, isn't it?
Absolutely.
It's that innocent fun. And for the adults to react in that way, it kind of gives you an idea that, why is that happening? Is it because it's too funny for them to bear? So, yeah, lovely. So, that was good. We have started...
Channel 5, that was.
Channel 5. We've started the new series of Unforgotten on ITV. Are we rewatching it?
No.
We're not watching it. It's
on now.
It's actually on.
It's on now.
And of course, this is the series that originally starred Nicola Walker. Mm-hmm. I didn't watch the original series. You watched it.
You watched the last
I watched
few.
some of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's okay. It's crime drama.
Yeah.
I kind of had my fill of crime drama now. I'm really turning off from those kind of programs, but you love them, so that's fine.
Not all of them, but quite a few of them.
Yeah, exactly. We watched a movie. In fact, we've watched a couple of movies.
Yeah, but the main one that we watched was The Creator on Prime. And it was really good. It was about sort of AI and mankind, and it was an interesting premise. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it from start to finish, really.
It was certainly well filmed.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the effects were good.
The effects were amazing. Yeah, really were. I think it was a little bit confusing at some points, but yeah, good.
Well, it was interesting how what it did was took you through a process of being on different sides. So it took you through the process of first of all thinking, yeah, God, there's bloody robots and the AI, get rid of them all, kill them all, just destroy them. And then, of course, you were flipped over because you were starting to be on the side of the AI.
Yeah.
And seeing, because they kept saying, don't think about it when you shoot them, it's just programming, they're not real. And then you kind of started to sort of think, well, actually, what is programming? And what is programming?
Humanity as well.
What is programming? A brain is programmed. You are programmed from the minute you are born.
Exist, yeah.
You are programmed with all the things you need to learn in order to lead your life. So, if you were just left to just grow up without any kind of input, you wouldn't be able to speak a language, you wouldn't be able to do much, or, we are programmed. And so one could say, what is the difference between an artificial intelligence, a robot with a sophisticated brain? What's the difference? And that kind of raised these questions. So, while being an adventure movie as well.
Yeah.
So really interesting watch. We continue with Amanda Land.
Yeah, which is great.
BBC One, which is enjoyable, but I'm not as invested yet
in the characters
as I was with Motherland.
Yeah.
So it's a different show.
It is.
It's not Motherland recreated. It's a different show with a different dynamic between the characters. So yeah, it's warming up, but I think there's only 6 episodes.
In British comedy and things, there's very often only 6 episodes of things. Where, of course, Americans, it's sort of like 12 or 23 or something like that. So yeah.
The bloody BBC. Honestly, we pay for these things.
They need to spread their money out around a vast number of different things. So yeah.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? That's the whole point. There is now far too much choice.
Yeah.
No wonder the BBC's licence fee went a lot further years and years ago, because they only made a handful of programmes. I mean, when we were kids, for the majority of the day, there was nothing on.
I think it's amazing the number of radio stations that the BBC has, which I'm sure we'll all listen to in one way or another. But I had no idea until drama on BBC Three was being threatened that BBC Three, Radio 3, had drama on it at all. So
the thing that mystifies me is the lack of value. So, for example, if you flick through the channels, there's some channels like BBC 3 and BBC 4 that don't have anything on for swathes of time. They're not filled with programmes.
Well, I think BBC Radio, do you mean?
No, television.
Oh, television, yeah. I mean, yeah.
Why not fill the channel with reruns of old stuff?
Well, I think they are doing that in prime time anyway. So,
but why not? Give people stuff. I mean, the iPlayer. It's so annoying, because you'll see that. Go and watch an iPlayer. Watch everything on iPlayer. So you go to iPlayer, and the Series 1 isn't there. Just Series 2.
Or, like with Motherland, some of the really great ones are the Christmas specials, and none of them are on BBC iPlayer.
Make this an archive. Make it a proper archive, so you can choose whatever you want. If you want to give people choice and lots of it, give people a proper archive to choose from,
The thing is, you see, because the BBC is involved in a number of other streaming platforms, they license things to those streaming platforms.
Exactly.
And therefore they take them off iPlayer because they've licensed them for a year or two to another TV channel or something like that. So that's why they don't. But it's very frustrating when you decide that you might like to watch something and Series 1 is there and Series 3 is there, but Series 2 isn't. That's what I find really bizarre. But anyway.
Yeah, all of these platforms are filled with things that are mediocre and that don't have an appeal to a lot of people. So, I'm not going to just watch the latest thing simply because it's promoted to me.
But I think that's what people do. I think that is what people do.
I don't.
They watch the latest thing.
We continue with Heart to Heart, which is so light it's flying off the television set.
But it's always, Jonathan,
It's great for lunchtime. It really is when you don't. And we like to sort of say, What are you doing, Jennifer? Do this. You'll be safer if you do this. Why are you leaving Jennifer alone? So she can be captured by the baddie.
Yeah.
It's so obvious, but it's great for shouting at the TV.
Yeah.
And we've been really naughty. Really naughty. We've started Schitt's Creek again.
Yeah.
We just couldn't help ourselves, Paul, could we?
We're in season 2 now. Started season 2.
Couldn't help it.
And that Moira's birthday party almost at the close of season 1. Every time I watch it, I cry. Every single time. It's such a pivotal. I've said this before, but it's such a pivotal episode where suddenly there's an embrace going on with all of the characters, and between the town and the family. It's such a lovely episode.
And of course that's still on Netflix.
Yeah.
And we watched another movie called The Dead Don't Die with a stellar cast.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a zombie film.
Mm-hmm. On Netflix, I think that was.
Yeah, I kind of got into it to a certain point. Then it kind of went a bit weird.
Yeah.
I'm not going to tell you why, but it went a bit weird and a bit like, sorry, that makes no sense at all. And and then I kind of gave up from that point onwards.
It's as if, to me, the writer and the director, there were 2 films that they wanted to do. They started filming one, and then they sort of moved into a bit of the other and segued into that, and then they mashed them together. And
well, it seemed to me
it just didn't make sense.
Somebody said, "What's the most random thing we can think of at this point?"
Yeah.
So
it reminded me of Soap. Do you remember the comedy Soap?
It didn't remind me of Soap whatsoever.
Well, something happened in it, and it's sort of happened in Soap.
That also happened in Dynasty, Paul. So.
I know, but that Dynasty was after Soap.
Yeah, I know, but it was just pointless.
Yeah.
So, and we also started another film which was an extremely low budget homemade film called Ufologists.
Yeah, we started well.
Set in Cornwall, about a group of ufologists. It did start well, and there were a couple of mild giggles, but then it sort of became quite cumbersome for me, and we kind of abandoned it, which was kind of sad. But I think we had sort of hopes that it might be a bit like Detectorists.
Well, I think it was written, I think, after the first series of Detectorists, and I think the writer thought if that can happen with Detectorists, then Ufologists, and there was sort of the same.
But forgetting that Detectorists has again a stellar cast and is directed and produced very well
and written incredibly.
Yeah. So you know
it's one of those that lost its way a bit. Yeah.
It did lose its way, which was a shame, really, because some of the performances were quite committed.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the script wasn't great, and the direction wasn't particularly great.
But it will be interesting, actually, to get the names of those, the writer and the director, and see where they go. Because, I've watched various films over the years, and people have ended up being very successful. So
I think with a few tweaks, and actually some editing, there were some cuts that were quite long, and I don't know, just needs work. 6 out of 10.
Yeah, just better than 5.
That's it for this week's
Sunday Chat.
Thank you.
Bananas.
Tits and bums. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you very soon.
Well, we'll see you next week for a further episode of Sunday Chat.
And you'll see
and then other things. He'll be doing
Paul
things
on Monday, and then you'll see me on
Tuesday.
Well, Tuesday if I get the lasagna video done.
Tuesday.
But you'll see me Wednesday for the vlogs.
Yeah.
And then you'll see me on
Friday.
Saturday. Friday.
Are you doing a live on Friday?
Oh, Friday Night Live.
Yeah. And then you'll see Richard on
6 p.m.
Saturday.
GMT.
Yeah.
And you'll see. So you see.
And then you'll see Richard on Sunday.
Don't get bored.
Gosh, you'll be like me. You'll be seeing him every day. Yeah.
How lucky
What a
you
joy
are.
that is. Yeah.
So, bye.
See you next week.
Watch all the adverts. Bye.
Bye.
Click on some of the adverts as well and takes you to the product, and then I think we get more money.
And just ignore the product.
Yeah, just don't buy it, but anyway, whatever. Bye.
Bye.